Welcome to the show. Soccer fans, we have you covered. We'll recap Germany's stunning exit and Mexico hanging on for dear life. Plus, can Neymar do enough to get Brazil out of the round of 16? Speak for yourself starts now. Ooh, love it. Wednesday, and it feels like a Friday. All right, hello and welcome. Cowherd is off today. So I'm joined today by NBA champion Caron Butler, Fox Sports Radio host Doug Gottlieb, and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's start right here in Los Angeles. Yesterday, Lakers legend Magic Johnson made me recall a famous quote uttered by boxing legend Marvin Hagler. Marvelous once observed, "It's tough to get out of bed to do road work when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas." Magic Johnson's been sleeping in silk for the better part of 4 decades. So it's no real surprise that just 16 months into being named president of the Lakers, the task of actually running the team is already making the Magic Man consider early retirement.
Like I told you before I took the job and when I took the job, it's going to be a 2-summer thing for the Lakers. This summer and next summer. And that's it. And then if I can't deliver, I'm going to step down myself. She won't have to fire me. I'll step away from it, because then I can't do this job.
Magic was responding to questions about looming NBA free agency and the prospects of landing LeBron James and/or Paul George this summer. It sounds like Magic has received word that King James ain't coming this year. Some might argue that Magic is moving the goalpost. I don't see it that way. I think he's tinkering with the game clock. This is the Tragic Hour 2.0. You remember Magic's TV show, The Magic Hour?
Nobody remembers it.
It lasted 8 weeks. Magic gave a half-hearted effort. Critics lambasted the show. Howard Stern clowned Magic on the set of The Magic Hour, and Magic blamed black celebrities for not supporting him. Here we go again. If LeBron doesn't want to play for the Magic Man will take his ball and go curl up with Cookie on some silk sheets. This won't be the first time he's quit on the Lakers. You remember Magic's 16-game stint as head coach of the Lakers in 1994?
I don't remember it.
After a hot start, winning 5 of 6 games, Magic stepped down after closing the season on a 10-game losing streak. Look, from 1979 until 1991, Magic virtually never lost in the NBA. He played in 9 NBA finals in 12 years. You toss in his final year at Michigan State when he won a national championship, and Magic was the toast of the basketball world for 13 straight years. On the court, he never tasted struggle. I don't say this as a knock, it's just the truth. Magic is spoiled and privileged. I love Magic. That's a pic of me in my apartment this morning. That's Magic at the 1996 Olympics hanging on my wall. Magic is my favorite athlete of all time. But Magic ain't Ronnie Lott cutting off a fingertip to stay in the game. When the going gets tough, Magic is like, deuces, bitches. And Magic still thinks it's the 1980s and everything he touches on the court turns to gold.
No pressure on me. I mean, I'm gonna do my job. I've always done that. Look, I've been playing in, how many finals I've been in? So you think I'm worried about this? I played against Larry Bird in the finals. I mean, come on, man. I've been in 9 finals. I've been in college NCAA championship, I'm Magic Johnson. I'm still the same dude. I'm not going to change. There's no pressure on me. I'm going to do my job. That's what I do. I do my job. I'm excited. It's fun.
Magic with the ball in his hands is unbeatable. A laptop and a scouting report in his hands is a totally different story. Magic did not take the Lakers job to oversee a rebuild. He's not at the Staples Centers trying to draft the next Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, or Draymond Green. Magic thought his smile and Lakers mystique would make the Lakers turnaround as easy as shopping on Amazon Prime. LeBron and Paul George were supposed to be delivered overnight. No different from how he thought Lonzo Ball would be the next Magic Johnson just because Magic and LeVar spoke it into existence. Rebuilding the Lakers is going to take some real work. Magic won't be running the Lakers when LeBron arrives. LeBron isn't coming until Magic is gone. That's what Magic suspects, and that's what sparked his bold proclamation. Not enough silk sheets for LeBron and Magic at the Staples Center. All right, guys, help me out here. Woo! Magic Johnson is in over his head, as president of the Lakers. That's what yesterday was all about.
If he was doing scouting reports, I would agree with you. If he was evaluating draft prospects at the University of Kentucky or flying overseas, I would agree with you. But that's not what he was brought in for. He was brought in to be the closer. And we don't know if he can close yet. We don't know.
He just announced he's not closing this season.
He did not announce that. You're supposing that. You assume that. But you know what happens when you assume, Jay? You do. Look, I'm with you on that.
I told you this is a 2-year, a 2-summer thing. He's giving up on this summer.
No, you think he's giving up in the summer. Let's see what happens. Then let's see what happens next summer. They did have to rid themselves of the Timothy Mozgovs. They did have to rid themselves of some of the other bad contracts. They did have to do some work in the draft, which, by the way, is pretty good work. Kuzma's a good pick. They like Lonzo Ball. They think he's going to be a starting point guard, probably not an all-star, but one that makes people better.
Oh, you won't be hanging in the rafters? Remember that?
Come on, man. Every press conference from a top 5 pick. He had to get rid of D'Angelo Russell, who was a cancer on that team. Like, there was some stuff to do, but none of that was his deal. His deal is salesman. Like you said,
Ron, you
smile.
play for the Lakers. He's in over his head.
No, he's not. And I think the things that stick out to me when you talk about Magic is winner, legacy, in the 16 months that you mentioned in this process. You know, it's only 16 months. It's turning around.
It was 8 weeks for the tragic hour.
But listen, but when he had the tragedy on the biggest stage of
16
basketball,
games as the
he
head
was able
coach.
to bounce back from that. And I feel like basketball is a reflection of life. Magic is a winner on and off the court, and I strongly figure that he will find a way to fix this situation.
Or he'll quit.
I'm with Mr.
He's not
Butler over
quitting,
here.
man.
Sorry, JW. Listen,
He said he'll quit.
He's controlling
He's
the
quit
narrative right there.
before.
He's just letting you know.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, before Kawhi Leonard drops his chaos grenade on the Lakers, they were in great shape. They were going to get LeBron and Paul George. No other team can just slide both of them in. So the Lakers are in great shape. And then Kawhi makes his announcement, and Magic is scrambling. I mean, Doug attributed to it. Listen, they don't know if they can make a deal to bring Kawhi Leonard on board. Whitlock, if they can't, do they lose him to the Clippers? Do they lose him to Philly? And so Magic just now is in scramble mode. He's got about 48 hours left on the clock before LeBron opts out. Can he pull it off? I have faith in Magic. I'm going to look at the positive Magic. The guy who made millions with Starbucks. The guy who made millions in movie theaters. Tragic hour was a disaster, but he's done well in all other aspects.
And Jason, listen to what McIntyre's saying here, is that coaching basketball is a different skill set from playing. You're right, okay? And being on TV is a different skill set than playing. But what has Magic done that he's been successful at during his career and post-career? Just coming in and being Magic. Talking about legacy. Talking the kind of... not talking about details,
point, Doug.
but that's all he has to do.
No,
here.
you're making my point. Because what he's figuring out and what yesterday was about was being Magic ain't good enough. Because there are organizations like the Golden State Warriors, and now that Jerry West has come back to L.A., the L.A. Clippers, they're not just, I'm just going to be Jerry West and smile. People are actually putting plans together and executing plans. OKC right now looks like the front runner to keep Paul George. And it's not because anybody in Oklahoma is, they ain't got Barry Switzer there just being Barry Switzer. They're executing a strategic plan. And so you're arguing is that, and what my argument is, smiling and being Magic isn't enough. It wasn't enough as a coach. It wasn't enough on television. It's not enough as an executive.
You look at Magic Johnson in his post-career, the guy that made the seamless transition, the poster child of the NBA.
A seamless transition.
He made a seamless transition. If you Google Magic Johnson, he's worth $800+ million. That guy closed deals.
Jason,
he could
run
gets
for
it
mayor
done.
of
Los
Hold on.
Angeles
Here,
tonight.
let me help you here.
That's how popular
That's the
he is
reason
in
he's
your
on your wall.
Let me help you.
Fans love him. They're
Hold on.
excited, man. They're
Jason.
excited to have him back.
Jason,
Just because he
didn't have Mitch Kupchak on your wall.
Office, that doesn't mean
yes,
You don't have Daryl Morey on your wall.
Look, the only reason first of all, remember he was on TV with NBC and he was bad. Remember when Jordan hit 6 threes in the first half, he was calling the game. He was
No,
bad.
I remember.
Right? Remember he got back on. How do you think he got back on TV? With
Because
ESPN?
he's Magic Johnson
No,
and he's
because
6'9".
because he's awesome in a room. Okay? He's not good at the details. By the way, Jerry West, who I believe is the greatest front office executive in the history of the sport. What's he doing? He's doing what the Lakers have been doing over the past 16 months. He's getting rid of all those bad contracts, and they're starting to go down before they go up, which is what the Lakers have been doing. And Magic's only job there is to go in to a room and win the room. And that's what he has done to make $800 million.
So let me defend Whitlock for a second. Let me defend. You made a great point, Doug. His job is to close. His job isn't to go out and gas up Lonzo Ball and say he's going to be the next Magic, or I'll step down if I screw this up. He's opening his mouth too much right now. He really needs to just... What other presidents of organizations in the NBA are out there making these bold proclamations? Danny Ainge didn't come out and say, hey, Jason Tatum, we got the next Larry Bird. Like, they're not doing that. I think Magic's done a little bit too much.
If we don't get Kyrie Irving, I'll step down.
He's not doing that.
You can't tell me what he did yesterday wasn't straight amateur hour. That was amateur. That was not presidential.
It was unnecessary.
It's straight amateur hour. And again,
let's see what let's see what happens. If he doesn't get anybody, then it's amateur hour. If it isn't,
he's already foreshadowing it, Doug. You don't say that unless you already have doubts, unless word has leaked out. Damn, Paul George is really gonna stay in OKC. Damn, you know what? LeBron may stay in Cleveland, and I'll say this is never talked about. But I think people close to LeBron who know LeBron's no big Magic Johnson fan. I don't think LeBron James is sitting around pining about, I can't wait to play in Magic's organization. Again, you have two prodigies, Magic and LeBron, and both of them love silk pajamas and love to be the king of whatever it is they're doing. I don't think you can fit both of them into the Staples Center. They got the same mentality, and both of them get to make millions of dollars because they're prodigies athletically. All this other stuff we're attributing to them, that they did this and they did that. This isn't Steve Jobs. These are 6'9", once in a lifetime, once in a generation athletes, and people are attracted to that. And Magic would have to be a huge imbecile to mess up making money off the court after winning 5 titles in L.A. and being part of the Showtime Lakers. Hell, I bet James Worthy's making money too. Everybody's making money.
He is. Kareem's not making nearly as much. It was about his personality. But listen, you have to one, understand what Magic's being called in to do. Okay, how he's going about doing it, and you're calling it before. We do agree on that.
We agree on that. It's not good enough. I'm not calling. Magic is
16 months?
If Magic hadn't said what he said yesterday, we wouldn't be having this discussion. I would be sitting back, let it play out. He hasn't even met with Paul George or Magic Johnson. He's already,
free agents probably are thinking, what is Magic thinking going forward? And he's policing himself saying, look, if I don't do the right thing in 2 years, I'll fire myself. I'll resign.
Quit.
I'm saying, so a free agent, if I'm looking at that, if I'm LeBron James, I'm like, okay, he's all in to winning. He's going to make sure that he build a championship contender team.
That's what you heard.
I'm just saying, that's the perspective you got to look at it like.
If going remains tough, I'll quit. That's what he said.
So Whitlock had made a good point. Maybe LeBron doesn't love Magic. We know he doesn't like Dan Gilbert. We know they are mortal enemies.
Facts.
He barely gave the guy a high five
There's 28
after winning
other
Game
teams.
7.
Facts.
And Dan Gilbert is in the running, and he hasn't announced, if LeBron leaves, I'm quitting.
He wrote a letter. He wrote a letter.
He got him back.
The best point you made, though, was that there is a lot of ego with LeBron James, and he wants, frankly, what Magic used to have, which is a direct relationship with the owner. There was a power play midseason where they wanted David Fizdale to be the next coach of the Lakers. That leaked out. And why? Because Fizz is coached with LeBron from back when they were in Miami. And I think what the Lakers have been steadfast in is, hey, listen, we want you to come here, but it's not going to be like it is in Cleveland where your boys get to be around the place. It'll be more like Miami. And I don't think LeBron particularly likes that. I think that's one of the reasons that they've thrown out all these other teams that he's not going to go to. It's been Cleveland or L.A. the entire time. I do think there's a little bit of egos at play. But Magic you think Magic showed a lack of confidence when he said, I'm still Magic Johnson, I got this?
Let me tell you something. If I'm ever sitting up you know what I did 25 years ago? I'm still that same guy. That's what he said.
That's what worked for him.
And it doesn't work
anymore.
It didn't work as a head coach. It didn't work on television. Yes, can he put his name on a Starbucks or an AMC theater and put some grape Kool-Aid in an AMC theater and everybody, oh my God, they got orange and grape Kool-Aid. That's what they were celebrating.
He was just sending everyone a reminder.
You had to throw in the grape Kool-Aid.
They served grape soda and orange soda. I loved it. But it wasn't some big invention. Everybody knows black people like grape soda.
Trust me.
Trust me, like grape soda, right?
Wait, you guys have the market cornered on grape soda?
All right, welcome back. I'm joined now by Fox Soccer analyst Mariano Trujillo, who called today's Mexico-Sweden game. Let's start there, where Mexico lost 3-0, but still managed to back their way into the round of 16 after South Korea stunned defending champion Germany 2-0. This marks the first time Germany has been eliminated from the World Cup during the group stage. Mariano, how shocked were you to see the world #1 Germany get bounced this early?
I was shocked. A year ago, they played the Confederations Cup and they looked solid. It was a different squad, a younger squad, with players probably a little bit desiring a lot of success. These players won the World Cup 4 years ago, so probably they weren't there. I was shocked because they had a lot of quality, but the first game they played against Mexico, they were a little bit distracted. They weren't fit enough. They weren't sharp enough. Then they played the second game against Sweden, and today I was in shock about the result because I saw South Korea playing very well organized, and I knew they still had a little chance to qualify. So it is painful. I wasn't expecting it, but I wasn't as surprised as the first game.
Sounds like you're saying Germany was complacent, still a bit hungover even 4 years later.
Probably, yes. I've been praising the German system. They work a lot with their academy. They have a lot of talented players. Even one of their best players during last season in English Premier League, Leroy Sané, was left in Germany. He didn't make the squad. So when they have that amount of talent, it's kind of tough to understand why they didn't advance to the knockout stage. I was surprised, but not as much.
You said yesterday on this show you were concerned about Mexico, and they get drilled 3-0, but still advance. What did you see from them today?
Well, they had a very good start of in this tournament. Today, I was concerned about the physicality of the game. When the ball is on the ground, we're very good. But when we struggle when the ball is in the air, when the game is physical, we struggle a lot, and that happened today. They play a very good first half. Then in the second half, a little bit of disconcentration, a little bit of loss of focus, and we were punished because of that. I think they have to change a little bit of things. They have to fix some stuff. But overall, I think Mexico in these 3 games have played very well.
All right, let's move to Brazil, who also advanced out of the group stage today, winning Group E with a 2-0 win over Serbia. Brazil now moves on to play Mexico in the round of 16. This will be their 5th meeting in the World Cup, with Mexico never beating Brazil. Mariano, how do you see this game playing out?
It's gonna be a tough one. Brazil is my favorite team. I think they're gonna take it all this year. They have a very solid squad.
Did you say Brazil's your favorite team?
Yeah, to win it all.
Oh, okay.
To win it all. Mexico, obviously, Mexico's my team, but to win it all, I think Brazil, they have a solid squad. If you check every position, experience, successful players, obviously they have a game changer with Neymar. It's going to be a tough one, but one of the things that I like about facing Brazil is that we used to play against Brazil. We have played against them in the last World Cup, and we tied. That's true, but that was the same case against Germany, and we did. So there's always a first time, so let me dream about it. I think we can make it. We'll have a light possibility to beat Brazil, but we'll see.
I'm going to dream with you, and I'm still rooting for Mexico, even though you don't want me to. I'm with Landon Donovan.
Hi, I'm Alexi Lawless. I used to play soccer back in the 1900s for the U.S. Now you can find me talking about soccer this summer during the World Cup on Fox. Now through July 15th, you can get daily FIFA World Cup updates from me through your Alexa-enabled device. Just say, Alexa, play the Fox Sports Flash Briefing, and you'll get the latest tournament news straight from Russia. Alexa and Alexi. Now that's a winning team. Don't forget to watch the 2018 FIFA World Cup all tournament long live on Fox and FS1.
All right, welcome back. Doug Gottlieb is back. We're joined now by Super Bowl champion and my nemesis, Brian Cox, and the NFL Network's Bucky Brooks. Let's move to Texas, where according to a new poll, support for the NFL is surprisingly low. As Clay Travis pointed out this morning on Outkick the Coverage, the poll shows that 47% of the registered voters in the state have an unfavorable view of the NFL compared to just 26% who view the league favorably. I think this is an ominous sign for the NFL. If you go read the report and any interpretation of the report, this national anthem controversy is souring people on the NFL, And you can't irritate your fan base this way without there being repercussions. And if you lose Texas, that's an indicator. That's the most football-loving state there is on the planet. You lose Texas, that's a sign you could lose everyone else, weaken your support, make the NFL less popular than it has been. It's a bad sign, and to me, it's just another indication that the Kaepernick protest has blown up in the very players' faces and in the league's face.
Look, I agree with the premise that the Kaepernick thing has created, and look, politicians, specifically President Trump, has used it for political gain, smartly so. He knew it was a winner for him, and he kind of woke it back up when it was starting to kind of go away. I will point out that having read the entire report, it's mostly political questions. It's the only sports question, and there wasn't any context to, well, do you like high school football? Do you like college football? Like, are you not a football person?
I think it said in there that they liked NFL. I mean, they like college and high school football still just as much. I read the
right,
report.
but some of that is Texas. Like in Texas, high school football still is big. But
the Cowboys also are in Texas.
The point is,
pretty big.
And they have won a Super Bowl, and everything's different when you win a Super Bowl.
Cowboys.
Okay, it is the Cowboys. But the last part is, look, the customer is right, and that's what Jerry Jones was saying, and that's what Bob McNair is saying, is that you don't have to agree with the customer, but the customer is right, and enough of them have told us you got to stop protesting the flag.
Man, I don't believe it.
You don't believe the poll?
This poll is a flawed poll, okay? First of all, you did it in Austin, Texas, which nobody in Austin, Texas goes to Dallas to football games or to Houston to a football game. They stay there in college. They don't go to those games.
No one in Austin goes to Dallas.
Not many
to see
people.
the Cowboys.
I would doubt that many of these people from Austin.
It
was 1,200 people.
Entire state, not
No.
Austin.
No. They did Austin, Texas, 1,200 people, 53% of them women. All right, 42% of the people not even from the state of Texas. So I reject this. I don't buy into this thing. And anytime
you going fake news on us? Is that what you're doing?
Well, I don't believe in that because I'm not starting that shenanigans either. But I don't buy this poll. I reject it. One of the guys involved in this thing is writing a book, and he's trying to fester up. Like you said, to your point, outside people now are trying to take on the top dog so they can take a bite out of football. This poll is not a poll that anyone should give any credence to say this is whether or not people like. What I would like to see is a poll from people that purchase football tickets. I want to see the super fan. I want to see their opinion. Some casual fan on the outskirts.
They spoke pretty loudly last year. If you looked around, there was a lot of stadiums that had empty seats last year during the regular season.
Well, I'm going to go with this. I believe anytime you have registered voters, it's always going to be split because the vote is always skewed. Minorities don't typically vote in the same numbers as white people. And when you also look at the poll, 55% of white registered voters chose unfavorable. When you look at the minorities, 24% of black respondents, 39% of Hispanic respondents. This has always been about, when you look at the league, a league that is 70% black, when you have those guys take a stand and do all those things, it is going to fall down racial lines. And so when President Trump made this a big issue, he knew exactly what he was doing to rile up his fan base. That is why we're seeing the negative attachment, because it's a win for him. He said it to Jerry Jones. It continues to be a thing that he can always go back to rile up his fan base.
Let me accept, and let me just accept everything you just said. Let me say, okay, that's factual. Are you contending that they have not weakened people's perception of the NFL, the fan base? Take the color out of it, the fan base of football fans. They've got a more unfavorable opinion of the NFL.
I think there are a couple things at play. I believe there's a war on football. Outside of the anthem issue, when you think about the concussions and everything that has been introduced, there has been fear spread about the game. And so when you have that, when you have the attack, of course there's going to be a weakening, particularly amongst educated people who are worried about little Johnny playing the game. And so, yes, there has been that, and that has affected some of the stuff that we've seen following football.
Have we talked about, in high school, the sport that is the most dangerous sport of any of the sports that we play? Cheerleading. Cheerleading has more injuries than any sport. But like you say, it's an attack on football, but we don't discuss the cheerleading. And I'm with you on that point. I've been very hard on you about, the football. It has created a lot of millionaires. It's a very good industry for black folks, for sure. And we have to be careful about attacking it. But there are some things that I'd like to see done differently. So I give you that point. I think your 3 days has worn me down.
I'm glad you're giving me that point, Brian, but I just want you to concede the point. And Bucky, and Gottlieb, I think you're already there. This national anthem protest, it was a mistake.
No, I don't
It was a mistake. It has
no.
damaged your customer base, and it has not created the awareness that you think it has about police brutality.
I think it's actually, first it created awareness. The problem was...
It didn't create awareness.
Hold on.
It did not create...
It
It started a conversation about the national... Man, let me tell you how long black people have been talking about police brutality. Since the beginning of America. We've been talking about it ad nauseum. When NWA came out with a song about police brutality.
Jason, you're not wrong, but it wasn't in Maine. We're still talking about the Kaepernick thing. He ain't playing football for a year.
And they've been talking about the national anthem the entire time.
I understand, because
I've been hosting this show the entire time the thing has been going on. No one on TV has been talking about police brutality. They've been talking about the national anthem controversy.
Because you didn't let me finish.
Because you didn't let Brian answer my question. You cut him off and injected something else. But go ahead.
The point was simply this. It wasn't anything wrong with the protest. It was the guy who was leading it, because he didn't know how to stay on message. And he had the pig
He
socks.
never came with a message that resonated with football fans and the customer base that he was trying to move. We keep making excuses. It was poor strategy. Anybody with a brain could see it was poor strategy. They started a conversation about the national anthem, not about police misconduct. Poor strategy. Let's quit making excuses. Let's quit blaming the media. If you do something in the middle of the national anthem, don't be shocked that people talk about the national anthem.
Let me take this avenue, okay? It's been reduced to a black problem. We know when things are reduced to a black problem, nothing ever gets done. Okay, let's deal with that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, like you said, let's get over that conversation about the national anthem. Let's move forward. How about we take another look at another strategy that the NFL may be incorporating and saying, we got 3 years until the CBA comes up. How about they start talking about, fans are turned off by it, stadium costs are going up again, blackouts. This is about the time the NFL starts trying to put it in the public's mind that, we potentially could lose money, so that when the CBA comes up, they can take care of that. How about we look at that angle?
That's a very good point. It's very factual. It is going to happen. NFL, and this is why, again, I'll go back to it, and we got to end here, and I'm sorry. This is why I think it's a mistake, because NFL players are going to get drilled in this CBA. There will be no widespread public support. They will get hammered because the NFL owners will hold it over your head. You dirtied up our brand with that national anthem thing. Now take whatever it is we give you, and DeMaurice Smith will fold because he's a bad leader, and Gene Upshaw was the best guy that's ever led the NFLPA, and we criticized him and ridiculed him, and now they got a clown running the NFLPA, and they're going to get slaughtered when the CBA comes up. All right, welcome back. Doug Gottlieb, Brian Cox, and Bucky Brooks are back. Let's return to the NFL, where Jimmy Garoppolo clocked in at number 90 on the NFL Network's annual list of top 100 players, despite only playing 5 games last season. And the guy who ranks 17th on that list, cornerback Jalen Ramsey, is offended that a guy with so little experience was ranked so high, claiming Jimmy G's success was more about scheme than skill. Completely disagree with Jalen Ramsey here. This team couldn't win a game, and Jimmy Garoppolo takes over at quarterback, and they win 5 straight. It's San Francisco. We've been watching them get their butts kicked for the last 2 or 3 years. We saw their offense look pathetic. I'm just sorry. Jimmy G in 5 games established himself, to me, as one of the top young quarterbacks in the league. I can't knock him. I don't think he's overvalued, overrated at all.
Neither do I. I think 2 things. One, the division he played in was a little bit down. Seattle wasn't the juggernaut that they were before. L.A. played really well, and then Arizona was just a team. So the competition, the 5-0 start was really good. The thing about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were number 2 in scoring defense, number 2 in total defense. That was a really good defense. But I don't know any quarterback that is not scheme-driven. Every offense in the league is a scheme. So to say that is kind of like, duh. Jacksonville's defense is very good, but I can give this guy credit. They're only going to improve as he gets better weapons around him. Kyle Shanahan is a very good offensive coach, so they'll do a really good job. And I think because of the division, I think he'll do a really good job. So Jalen's a little off base here to me.
I'm surprised that you would take that take because being a defensive coach, you know, the second go around, when you've seen the guy, now we have an opportunity to really see what he is. Look, he was hot for 5 games. You didn't have any film on what they were doing with Kyle Shanahan, how he was going to use him, what his hot spots are, what his weaknesses are. I think this will be the year when we see how good is Jimmy Garoppolo really, because the book will be out on him. Everyone will be able to dig into him and how he plays in that scheme. And then we'll be able to see how does he adjust to the adjustments.
Overvalued, in your opinion?
A little bit. To be one of the top guys already, we've seen 5 games. I just think it's early to say that because if we go all the way back and we'll use your guy, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick played well for a year. We were ready to say that he was the next coming. And then over time, we would say that some would say he's not that quarterback. Maybe it's the same with Jimmy Garoppolo.
To make your point, they start out in Minnesota on the road, at home to the Lions. They go to Kansas City, then they go to the Chargers. Okay, those are at least 2, if not 3 playoff teams.
Oh, this year.
This year. Yeah. So there will be some truth serum as to exactly how good he is. But I think it's more than just his production. And he was helped out by the NFL Films thing where he's mic'd up, where we understood that it wasn't just he was out there playing. He had prepared. He led. He knew how to tell the wide receivers where to be, and the ball was exactly where he said. It was really kind of remarkable and eye-opening to watch that a guy had that much command and control for a completely different offense in that shorter period of time. And I think NFL players are smart. They watched the NFL Network. They saw that video and like, this dude looks and feels like a dude. Now, look, if you really want to break down the rankings, they got Carson Wentz 3rd. He's coming off an ACL injury. He's been in the league for a year now.
Hey, man, let me tell you, that guy's a deal.
No, anyways.
He's the truth.
He's have him ahead of Aaron Rodgers? You'd rather have Carson Wentz than Aaron Rodgers? Right now.
Here's what I'm going to say about that. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football, period. But he missed most of the season with the shoulder. Carson Wentz, before he went down with the knee injury in the playoffs, that is a football playing Jesse. Don't underestimate how good that guy is.
Gotta go back to Jimmy G. Your point about Colin Kaepernick, because I remember Ron Jaworski said he could be the greatest quarterback. I was right there with him. I thought, man, this dude may be the next John Elway. And Jim Harbaugh went away, and it all evaporated. One, Kyle Shanahan, I don't think is going anywhere.
No.
So Jimmy G will have that benefit. And 2, I just think Jimmy G is not a guy that made plays with his feet the way that Kaepernick did.
No.
Kaepernick bailed himself out a lot of times with his feet.
Absolutely, and I think some of that is, but I think the more film that you get on people, the more film that you have on Shanahan and how he's using his personnel at San Francisco, the more film you have on Jimmy Garoppolo and where he likes to work areas of the field, I think you will see defensive coordinators attack him differently. And then the test of time will be, if he can adjust to the adjustments, then you anoint him as one of the best in the game. That's what it comes down to.
I believe that he'll do that because sitting behind Tom Brady, here are your options. You either could have drafted a guy in the first round or you could have got a guy that had a little bit of experience. He had a 3-game sample, not big. But to Doug's point, to get a guy to come in halfway through the season at the trade deadline, learn offense as well as he learned offense, name who he threw the ball to. I don't know anybody on that.
No, that's the thing. They had no players. That's what Jason's point was. Like, I'm with you. I mean, how many times have we seen a quarterback have one really good season? But it was pretty amazing, the change from the worst team in football to a team that's probably better than at least 2 to maybe 4